Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Wednesday, September 29th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you are somebody that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used to help you make good decisions as a trader, then this will be a video for you. And then before I get started, real quick, if you do enjoy what you see as I go through the video, then just keep in the back of your mind that I am offering a free live online class this Thursday that I do want to personally invite you to get signed up for if you want to learn more about, what you're about to see here on the video. So like I said, keep that in the back of your mind. And if you want to get signed up, then on YouTube, just down in the description box, there's a link you can click on. Or if you're watching at my site, claytrader.com, then somewhere right on the webpage there's going to be an area that you can click on to get signed up. So no pressure or anything like that, but just keep in the back of your mind that I am offering this if you do want to, if you like what you see and you want to take it to another level. First one here, our good friend CEI. For you longtime viewers of the top 10, I've been doing this one for feels like months now, but when it was well down below $1, and now it's nicely up above $3. So the uptrend continues, and updates certainly need to be made here. And kind of a case of deja vu over really all the past videos, because it's basically the same thing every video. Hey, look, the chart put in higher highs and higher lows. And I mean, so I don't mean to repeat myself, but it's a good problem to have when the trend is so strong that literally all I do is just say kind of the same things over and over. But yeah, higher highs and higher lows. So with some of these new lows now, the newest level of support and pullback area would be right down there around $2.70. So 270, what I would call the ideal level, where preferably speaking in terms of what would make the chart look the best, the healthiest, if the price can stay above 270. But I mean, if the price falls below it, that doesn't mean the entire chart's destroyed or ruined or anything like that. But yeah, staying above that level would certainly make things look the healthiest. And then as I've said in past videos, from the overarching standpoint, still have the purple line there, 50 period moving average, as the line, or as the name implies, that line is going to move itself higher and higher. So for more of a broader picture, as long as the price stays above that purple line as the line itself moves higher and higher, then the bulls are in full control of the trend. And then as far as areas of resistance are concerned, main area here to watch from a resistance standpoint going to be right up there around the $3.35 mark. So keep an eye on that. If $3.35 can be broken, then potentially a little bit of a hurdle right up there around $3.44. But in my mind, the main key level of resistance can be right there at $3.35. But overall, monster volume today. The uptrend continues. So there's going to be plenty of eyeballs watching it on Wednesday. Next one here, ticker symbol NAKD. And before I really make too many comments on it, I just want to set up some perspective that I'll be commenting from more of a general, bigger picture point of view, meaning I understand that if you're some sort of day trader, flipper, scalper, and you bought right there and your plan was to buy and sell within 20 minutes, well, then yeah, for you, the chart does not look okay. The chart looks really, really bad. But again, I'm not necessarily commenting from that angle of things. I'm commenting from the bigger picture. And from the bigger picture, even with the pullback here, the overall chart is still perfectly fine. And I'm not saying that this is what's going to happen, but for explanation's sake, let's say the price actually comes down to that green line at 75 cents, behaves like that, and then kind of just hovers around that area. Even if that were to happen, what would you still have? Again, emphasis on big picture. Well, you'd still have a set of lows there. You'd have lows there. You'd have lows there. You'd have lows down here. And if you envision each one of those as stair steps, what do you have? Well, from the big picture, you'd still very clearly have stair steps in the upwards direction. And that's what it's all about. That's how overall uptrends are constructed. Again, 100% understand and realize that if you're a day trader and you bought right there, you don't care about those stair steps. That's what I'm trying to do my best to differentiate, that I'm not really talking about this from a day trading type perspective, as if you bought up there. So keep that in mind, that even with the bigger pullback today, everything is still okay. But what's kind of interesting is that this level of resistance here that I talked about in the video from Monday has once again gone to being an area of resistance. So price did get above it, but as soon as the price fell back below it, you can see went right back to acting as resistance. So in the very near term, 83 cents remains that area of resistance, and then 75 cents remains that area of support. So overall, though, big picture wise, the uptrend is fine. As of now, I would just classify this as a pullback. Next one here, AMC, and I alluded to this earlier about how things weren't necessarily looking great, and then going into today, a very, very rough day. Now, to offer up a little bit of defense, the entire markets for the most part had a rough day, so it's not like the markets were booming upwards and then AMC was falling downwards or anything like that, but still, nonetheless, it is what it is. The price is now broken down to levels that haven't been seen for quite a while, and that's also where this first update comes into play. This update just based on a foundational rule in charting, which states when levels of support are broken and closed below, they tend to act as resistance. So if there is any sort of, attempted bounce moving forward, the initial level of resistance where, kind of got to, take a little inventory check of, whether or not the price and the bounce is going to have enough power to break through is going to be right there at 37.75. And then from more of an overarching level, keep an eye on that purple line up there. Again, the 50-period moving average as a level of resistance. But you don't want to get too far out of yourself too fast. First, let's just see if the price can even bounce up above 37.75. And then at that point, it'll make more sense to focus on that 50-period moving average. In terms of areas of support, I've talked about this area before. In fact, I'm just going to get rid of that line there. It's no longer relevant. But this green line down here at 36.25 is going to be that next key level, which to squeeze things down even more, as you're seeing here, it's coming from, I guess I didn't need to go that far, but it's coming from a time way back there. And when was that? In late August. So like I said, we're talking about multiple months ago since the price has been down around this area, but right down there, 36.25 is going to be that next key level of support. But if it does decide to bounce, then again, 37.75, and then that 50-period moving average will be the main areas of resistance. Next one here, ticker symbol FAMI, and the same exact premise of NAKD, meaning I'm talking about things from the big picture point of view. So if you're a day trader that bought right there and you wanted to buy and sell within 7 minutes, well then yeah, from that angle, things look really bad. But from the overarching standpoint, I get it. The price did pull back. But as I talked about in the video from Monday, it was all about showing signs of progress, and the quote-unquote sign of progress going into today was, could the price stay above 21.5 cents? And not only did it stay above that level, it never even back tested it. So what I'm actually going to do is now adjust this area of support right up there to 22.5 cents as that new level, where as long as the price stays above that level, then that is still progress being made, which matters from the bigger picture context. Again, fully realize you don't care about the bigger picture context. You don't care about this 22.5 cent mark if you bought all the way up there, right? So, but from the grand scheme of things, if the price stays above there, that's showing progress, and a progress in the upwards direction is a sign of, continued bullishness. So definitely keep an eye on that. From more of a near-term resistance area, which becomes pretty interesting here, 25.5 cents looks to be that key level of resistance. You can see a couple times right there, price got rejected and then got rejected again right there. So if the price can turn itself around and get up through there, that could be a very interesting breakout point. So keep an eye on that. But like I said, overall, the uptrend continues. Next one here, ticker symbol ALF. And hesitated, did I really want to put this one on? Because the latter part of the day, things were pretty rough. And I should have noted earlier, but I'm doing the 30-minute time frame, meaning each one of these, as they're called, candlesticks, represents 30 minutes worth of time. So you can see for basically the last hour and a half, which would be the combination of these three candles here, I mean, the price just fell and fell and fell. Now, did that destroy the chart? It didn't, especially when it all occurred on a relatively low volume. But still, it just doesn't make the chart look as strong as what it was. Again, does it destroy things? It doesn't. It just kind of wasn't really the best case scenario in terms of how you'd want to see the price close out with the afternoon. But now there are certainly some very well-defined areas to keep an eye on. So first key level that I think a lot of breakout players will be watching, right up there at $8.60. So if the price can get itself turned around, then, $8.60 is going to be a very important level. And then as far as key levels of support and a potential pullback point, all about that pink line right there, which on my chart denotes the very well-known, the very famous 200-period moving average. That's one of those levels where even if you have a surface-deep understanding of charts, I'm sure you've heard of that 200-period moving average. And we have a great example of why it's so famous. Check that out. Gapped up, pulled back, bounced right off that level, and up it went. So while I'm not saying that the price does go down to that area, if it does, then that'll be a very interesting level, and one that you're going to want to see the price hold above. Current value of that, we'll just call it down there at $7.50. So overall, like I said, the chart's not ruined, but doesn't look nearly as good as what it could have. But we'll see if the price can maybe get back up there and give $8.60 another run for its money. Next one here, ticker symbol PLTR. And again, it's not like the entire markets were booming and here PLTR was getting drilled to the downside. But nonetheless, it was still a very rough day. And as I squeeze things down here, didn't need to go that far, but you're going to see that the price is now starting to enter into some very interesting territory here that has not been seen for quite a while. In fact, let's go back. There we go. And there we go. So the first dynamic here that, the price, and let me zoom back in here, all day long was doing a fantastic job of holding above 25.50. I mean, you can see right there, held. You get the idea. And then the last 30 minutes showed up, and you can see that the price ultimately did break down through there, which, now brings about the question of, all right, is this the start of something bigger? To be fair, maybe this is just kind of a little blip on the radar. It's a fake break and the price will quickly recover. That is certainly possible, but it's also possible that, I don't know, maybe this is the start of a much bigger breakdown. So if that's the case, just get rid of that to illustrate. Then now we got to squeeze things out because to illustrate where these next couple levels could very well be coming into play here under the circumstances that, yeah, that was actually the start of a much bigger breakdown, which sits right down there at $25. Going through the history of things, you can see $25 is quite the interesting area. Even from a potential bounce perspective. Now, don't get me wrong. Is it guaranteed to bounce from 25? No, nothing's guaranteed to happen. But is it is it a rational thought that the price could bounce from 25? Absolutely. In other words, that's not a random area. Now, if you were just picking that out of nowhere, then yeah, somebody could say, wait, why would you say it's going to bounce off 25? It's never done that before. But I mean, in this situation, you can't say that because you can say, well, it's done it a couple times. Again, does that mean it's guaranteed to happen? No. Is it at least a valid thought process to have? Absolutely. So 25 is going to be an area of interest for longs and shorts and everybody in between. So keep an eye on that. But yeah, definitely a very rough day and a very rough final 30 minutes. So let's see how it all carries into Wednesday. Next one here, ticker symbol DBGI, and a pretty ugly looking chart here. But sometimes there can be some opportunity in the ugly. And in my mind, the opportunity is all about if this thing can pull back some more and come down here and back test this previous breakout point right around the 305 mark, because that was a former breakout area, and just basic technical analysis, you would expect it to potentially act as a support. Again, like the top or conversation we just had, doesn't mean that it's guaranteed to bounce from there, then that's for sure going to be a support. Absolutely not. But is it at least a valid thought to have? Is that some sort of random area on the chart? Absolutely not. And it's just all predicated on the fact of, hey, you know what? Maybe this thing gets more ugly, more ugly, more ugly. And then that's one of those areas where it seems like it's the end of the world. It seems like things can't get any worse. And then that's usually when things start to turn around, and then you get some sort of bounce from there. To be fair, maybe it's not. Maybe this thing just keeps on collapsing. So that's why, as always, risk management and risk control protocols are very, very important. But as far as, kind of a chart that had a lot of volume, had a lot of volatility, and now it's looking pretty ugly, this is definitely one. But I mean, if you've been around long enough, then I'm sure you've seen stocks that are looking really bad, really ugly, and then all of a sudden you're like, wow, that was an impressive turnaround. And we'll see if this thing can indeed get turned around or not. But personally, I mean, buying anywhere around here just is kind of in no man's land. I mean, I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it, because I don't know, maybe you see something that I don't see. But as far as this chart is concerned, it seems like 305 is kind of that key level. If there is going to be any sort of continued pullback and ugliness, and then potentially see something turn around. So from a risk reward standpoint, a very interesting setup. Next one here, ticker symbol GEO. What a monster move. I think that I learned this one in our chat room around, 1550-ish, to think that it kept on moving all the way up there. And at that point, I was like, I don't know, is this alert way too late? But no, it turned out to be just fine. But moral of the story, a lot of people are going to be watching this, especially, I mean, look at the afternoon volume. It just ramped up and kept getting higher and higher and higher. So moral of the story, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of people watching this one here on Wednesday. Now, the one interesting dynamic here is that it is starting to pull back. So it's really just a question of, how big is this pullback going to get? Now, you got to feel sorry for the people that suffered from FOMO, fear of missing out, and bought right there. And then the last 30 minutes just spent going down. We'll see if that can recover back around for them. But really, it's a question of, all right, is this thing going to continue to pull back? And if so, how much? And that's where the main dynamics here come into play. Namely, well, let's look at some potential pullback areas and supports, which in my mind, $16 is a very interesting level. If you want to be super high maintenance and say, no, I want to see a much nastier pullback, then right down there, that former breakout point around 1535 is another very interesting area. But those would be the couple, locations that would make sense from a pullback and support standpoint. If you just say, no, I only play breakouts, well, in my mind, that key breakout level is going to be right up there at about $17. And we'll call it 45 cents. So keep a close eye on that if you like to play the breakouts. But all in all, monster move today, monster volume. Now the big question moving forward is, does it have more volatility left? Is there going to be more solid volume? Wednesday's certainly going to be very interesting. Next one here, ticker symbol DATS, DATS. So DATS had a good move today. And the question now becomes, because, I mean, what would have been nice is had it not broken out through there. And if I could be sitting here saying, hey, watch that trend line, but that is all past history now. Price came up there, broke that trend line. This was all on very, very impressive volume. And now it's gone, which brings about and segues into the main question moving forward. Kind of the opposite almost of what we just looked at with GEO. But, and that one is, all right, how much is it going to pull back? Is it going to pull back? But at this point, it's broken out. It's showing momentum. I mean, how strong is this momentum? I mean, how much further is this momentum going to continue? And that'll be definitely the main dynamic here watching forward. Now, if you do like to play pullbacks and you're like, I don't want to risk chasing the price. I want to see the price pull back. Well, then a very interesting level of support going to be right there at $12.40. And then as far as areas of resistance are concerned, let's just squeeze things down here. We may have to go to another time frame. Yeah, let's just change over to the daily time frame here. Oh, okay. So this was a recent IPO then, not that long ago. So, all right, well, we are officially at all-time highs on this one. So as far as, trying to play breakouts or, resistance area or, looking at former resistance areas, you don't really have that luxury because as you just saw there at all-time highs. So really it's just a matter of, how much more momentum is this going to play out? And if you just say, nah, I'd rather to see it pull back somewhat, well then, that 1240 mark makes a very interesting area. But no doubt about it, had a very, very, very powerful afternoon. So now let's just see. Big question, can this, excitement carry into Wednesday? It'll be very interesting. Next one, ticker symbol AIKI. So for you penny stock players out there, a nice little pattern here. And especially with penny stocks, you don't want to get stuck in some sort of liquidity trap. So good to see that there was very respectable volume, especially in the afternoon. And with that, with the final 30 minutes, there was this pullback here. So maybe it's the end of the line. Maybe this was just kind of a one-day type wonder where you had some volume and that's all she wrote. But while that's possible, that's a two-sided coin, because on the flip side of the coin is, or maybe this is the start of something much bigger. Maybe this little 30-minute pullback here isn't actually a sign of any sort of genuine weakness, but it's just a temporary pullback before a bigger move happens, which makes this a very interesting setup, especially from the breakout point of right there at the 93 cent mark. So 93 cents in my mind seems to be that general key level of resistance, because even though it did pull back, overall it is still in an uptrend. I mean, if I were to draw a trend line like that, that's one way you can see the uptrend. You could look at the purple line there, 50 period moving average, see how it's got an upward slope to it. That would be another overall signal that's in an uptrend. So just because something's in an uptrend doesn't mean that it's for sure going to get back up there and break out. But again, is it at least worth keeping an eye on? Does it make sense to at least keep an eye on? Yeah, absolutely. So 93 cents, definitely going to be a very interesting level moving forward if the price can work its way back up there. And like I said, for those of you that like to play this, price range, it's worth at least keeping on the watch list. And that wraps up the top 10. Again, if you did like what you saw, if you are seeing the potential and want to learn more about how to take this tool of technical analysis and apply it to help build consistency as a trader, to help make good decisions, then I want you to get signed up for the class. Like I said, it'll be this Thursday, September 30th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So definitely get signed up for it. And as far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy this format, if you would like for me to continue to put in the time and effort to make these videos because you're enjoying them, you're finding them helpful, then let me know. And you can do that very easily, hitting the like button and leaving a basic comment, even if it's just saying hi, thanks, a ticker symbol that you're watching. But any of those things in combination with hitting the like button communicate to me that it's worth the time and effort. And as long as I know that, then I have no problem at all, investing the time to make these videos. All I ask is just a little bit of communication on your part. And again, if you want to learn more about charts, then definitely get signed up for the class. In the description box, there's a link, or if you're at my site, then there's a link right on the webpage there that you can click on. So hopefully I'll see you there on Thursday, and I'll see everybody back on Wednesday.